Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. We have some rather late breaking news this evening that I definitely wanted to cover with you guys. From ABC News, judge throws out 6 counts of Trump's Georgia election interference indictment. And as we have talked about here on the BuzWeaver channel this entire time, this engagement of lawfare by the Democrats, by the establishment, has always been about painting Donald Trump in a negative light. It has always been about dumping as much negativity on Donald Trump as possible, and it's all falling apart. Whether it's 𝐀𝐦𝐚𝐭𝐞, and he's going to appeal, whether it's the absurd fraud case in New York where there's no plaintiff, there's no victim, the banks were paid, it's absolutely absurd. Then, of course, the thing with Jack Smith there on his classified documents, as we saw with Joe Biden, who bragged to his ghostwriter about having classified documents. It's all falling apart. Them trying to remove Donald Trump from the ballot, absolutely falling apart. I mean, that 9-0 decision just leveled the establishment. That 9-0 decision by the Supreme Court leveled a lot of their plans, leveled a lot of their strategy. A Fulton County judge on Wednesday squashed multiple counts contained in the election interference indictment against former President Donald Trump and several of his co-defendants. The order from Judge Scott McAfee dismissed 6 counts related to a specific charge: solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer. That charge specifically relates to Trump's January 2nd, 2021 phone call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, which in part sparked the probe. So the biggest element, the biggest part of what the Democrats were trying to say, this was like another January 6th moment for them. The opportunity for them to show that Donald Trump was intentionally trying to get the election overturned, and you'll see why here. Of the 13 counts Trump faced, 3 of them were tossed by the judge's order. Trump now faces 10 counts in the case. The ruling is a partial win for Trump and several of his co-defendants who filed to dismiss the counts on the grounds that they were legally deficient. John McAfee essentially agreed, writing that they failed to allege sufficient detail in exactly what part of the oath the defendants were allegedly trying to get public officials to violate. He said the lack of detail concerning an essential legal element is fatal. And the thing is amazing. So some of the biggest points when it comes to what Donald Trump did is now being judged. It's very similar to the ridiculous argument that the states were making about Section 3 or Article 3 of the 14th Amendment, that it applied to Donald Trump being an insurrectionist. And that was never determined. As you know, for a president to be charged with something, it has to be agreed upon by Congress. If he does something outside of the purview of his official duties, right, then it goes to Congress. They impeach. They make a decision. Then they turn it over to the Department of Justice. That's how you prosecute a president. And instead, of course, as we saw from NBC News, you guys know, I show that article all the time, that they impeached him and did not find him guilty or being involved in an insurrection or inciting an insurrection. You guys know this. And this is what's so absurd about these people. How do they not see? How do people not see the lawfare that is happening to Donald Trump? The intentional, the willful lawfare that's being directed towards Donald Trump. They do not give the defendants enough information to prepare their defenses intelligently, as the defendants could have violated the Constitution and thus the statute in dozens, if not hundreds, of distinct ways, the order says. So it's just absolutely amazing to me. And the same thing here from NPR. You can see the various ones that were dropped. Give me a second here. You can see which ones, 2, 5, 6, 23, 28, and 38 were dropped. The indictment alleges that defendants pressured their officials, as we just said, to unlawfully act in a way, which is what the Democrats really wanted. They wanted it to look like Donald Trump went outside the purview of his office, just like they do with the whole January 6th, with the whole thing with Section 3 of Article 4. They just want, or Article 14, they're fishing. They're absolutely fishing, engaged in lawfare, just to try to paint Donald Trump in the most negative light as possible. It's absolutely extraordinary. But the good news is it's failing for them, and they're continuing to fail, because I believe that most people are starting to understand, pay attention, realize, notice that things are not working out for Joe Biden. The plans aren't working. The plans are failing. It's not working out the way they want it, and they can see it, particularly since Joe Biden's approval rating is terrible. But here's the thing, too. People know something's going on because, they have to get groceries. They have to provide for themselves and their family. They actually obviously have to get gas for their cars. They have to pay their bills. They have to pay the expenses. You guys all know this, and people are noticing that it's more difficult and things aren't turning out the way that Joe Biden has said. And people are starting to see this. And, of course, you guys I know because you're very astute. You're very shrewd. You understand these things are happening. So, obviously, you guys can see the lawfare. It's absolutely amazing. But I would welcome your guys' thoughts and comments down in the comments section. As we said at the beginning of the year, it's going to be a very wild and rocky 2024. And things are falling apart for the Biden administration and for the establishment. And they're going to just get more and more desperate. If you go on social media, you can see the desperation. You can see the attacks. Like I said, I'm getting a lot more negative feedback in certain areas that I normally would not get, and that's because of them losing and wanting to go after anyone they can go after to level their angst. But nonetheless, I do appreciate everybody here. Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, you guys across New Tech, as well as everyone here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much because things have been going really well lately. You guys have really been engaged. The likes, the shares, and the comment help the channel. And, of course, as you know, I have my links below this video for both my social media as well as my affiliates. All those things help out the channel. It's greatly appreciated. So that's what I have for you this late evening in this top story. Appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on that if you're watching via YouTube, of course. That way you can subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you know there's content when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.